Okay, so I know I'm really late to this, and Nicole is old news by now, but as of the time of writing, Nicole was like one of the more recent characters that Genshin has released. I think her concept is really interesting. She's an angel, writer, and novelist, and her character design also incorporates a lot of Christian references. So this is going to be a significantly less formal video than usual, but I thought it'd be interesting. I haven't seen anyone cover this before, and I thought that I might be able to give my own perspective. Today, I'm not going to do a full argumentative thesis like I usually do, but I'm just going to be discussing the terminology used and connect it to the theology as well as maybe just do a little bit of speculation. Everything I do is unfortunately going to be pretty much unsourced. I know, shocking, boo. I don't usually do that, but I wrote this at 10:15 p.m. while procrastinating on my Nahada video PowerPoint, and a lot of this I'm drawing out from my own experiences anyways. Eventually, I'm going to have to do like a full argumentative, rigorous analysis of the angels and their metaphysics and all of that, but right now I'm just like really excited about all of this because it's like I'm finally getting representation. I'm just like spilling my thoughts on a page. I do apologize if this isn't as rigorous as my usual standards, but I am, again, just genuinely excited to have a chance to talk about this. I promise I will be more focused and clear next time. So let's just dive in. So first and foremost, Nicole's skills and attacks. Oh my days, so many references. Normal attack, Allegoria, described as proclaiming a decree in the primordial tongue, Greek for allegory, obviously. It's like in the Christos honesty. No, but is there anything going on here? No, but let's just ignore it. Elemental skill, Revelation, Uncreated light, recreates a fleeting glimpse of an age-long past wherein the angels acted on the authority of the heavens, bestowing the grace of kenosis effect on nearby party members. There is a lot going on here. The concept of uncreated light, or Tabor light, is really central to Orthodox hesychast theology, particularly the Palamite understanding of God's nature. As opposed to the Thomist view of absolute divine simplicity, Gregory Palamas's central idea is the essence-energy distinction. Basically, God's essence, or ousia, is completely not understandable and unattainable, but God's uncreated energies are what we experience of the divine, kind of like the sun. You don't touch the star itself, the ousia, but the light that comes from the sun we can interact with, except that the light and the star itself, they're both the sun. Controversial? Yes, very much so in Roman Catholicism. Central to orthodoxy? Yes. I don't think I can really do the concept justice, but basically the uncreated light is like a huge deal in orthodoxy. Its implications are that, well, the light is God, or like a part of him. There aren't really divisions in God, but it's also really hard to put in words because I'm kind of stupid. And okay, but by using this term in the game, Genshin is using this super loaded theological language, which I think is really interesting because it's bringing this very specific Palamite idea of a deity to the game. Her quote even says, "Only the uncreated may caress the visage of eternity. That is why the unwritten word has value beyond anything but the paper." This is like very hesychastic. The entire tradition is about stillness and growing deeper in understanding and closeness to God via the participation in uncreated energies. This is the idea of Theosis. Also, the possible Logos reference is very nice too. Now, what about the grace of kenosis? Kenosis is the idea of self-emptying, or lowering yourself in the service of another almost. It's the description of how Christ condescended to humanity by emptying himself of his fullness and taking on human nature, accepting the limitations of humanity in order to redeem it. We'll see this concept here in a bit. Also, note, I'm not trying to commit a Christological heresy right now. Take my wording with a grain of salt. Elemental burst, Revelation, ladder of divine ascent, as Nicole weaves the path of anchored fate with golden threads of light. Okay, so the Ladder of Divine Ascent is literally the book written by John Climacus, a treatise on monasticism and the journey of growing in holiness and spiritual perfection. I actually personally haven't read it myself, but it's a very significant work. I don't think Genshin is actually using it particularly deeply, though. The skill description doesn't actually engage with the idea of ladder, opting for more generic fate and golden light imagery, which could possibly be interpreted more Calvinistically or as a generic theistic foreknowledge/providence. Though the accompanying quote, "You want to know the principles that underpin the divine plan? The gods become humans, so that humans could become gods." Ignoring the evasiveness underpinning the rest of the quote, which is a goldmine for future theorizing, the quote is straight from St. Athanasius on Theosis, which, by the way, Theosis is also a big idea. I've talked about it a little bit earlier in the context of uncreated light, but I'll repeat it here. It's basically the Orthodox mechanism of salvation. I think that more theories on how the idea of Theosis plays with Genshin's deities could be interesting. Is this referring to Archons, Celestia, something else? In any case, it's very cool. Theosis is like an idea that's going to underpin all of this because it's like, it's a very specifically Orthodox idea and it's just so prevalent literally everywhere in Nicole's design. Okay, first ascension passive. Methexis, literally meaning partaking, one of the words used to describe the partaking of divine energies. Interestingly, it causes Nicole to observe other party members. This is pretty interesting coupled with the actual effect, upgrading Grace of Kenosis to Guidance of Theosis. Obvious allusion to hesychasm? Yes. Do I wish that spamming prayer ropes in real life would give me a plus 300 attack buff? I mean it does, spiritually, but it probably wouldn't be able to do that much for my bench than if I didn't pray. I also don't think that there's actually that much more to go on in here, so I'm going to move on. Okay, fourth ascension passive, Philokalia, literally means love of the beautiful or love of beauty. It's again, surprise, surprise, a hesychast worst. Bleh. It's a collection of texts written by spiritual masters about the practice of the contemplative life. It's also a service that we do sometimes. I actually don't think I remember any of them, so I won't dwell too much about it. Witch's Eve, right passive, light in the darkness. Skipping past this one because the parallels are pretty obvious. Alright, final one. Utility passive, Nepsis. So Nepsis is also like a super interesting concept in Orthodoxy, albeit not a super essential one. It literally means wakefulness or watchfulness, and refers to like when you're sober and awake and vigilant and watching out for attacks. It's referenced in the Philokalia, whose name is actually the Philokalia of the Neptic Fathers. But it's basically the core idea of a struggle against the corruption of the soul. You're just staying awake and you're fighting, and you're defending yourself and your soul and being corrupted by your passions or desire that'll lead you astray towards your own harm, and you're continuing your ascetic effort towards healing and purifying yourself. Okay, so that was like really unorganized, and I drafted and recorded this in a single take. I'll have it edited, the audio and stuff, like later tonight, but I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. After Nahada and Akamov parts 1 and 2, I'm going to for sure make, I'm going to do a more full analysis on how the terminology is actually used in the game and how they construct like this inherent theological and metaphysical system that will obviously clash with the existing Gnostic, Buddhist, Chinese, and syncretic mythological influences that already exist in game. I also don't really know anything about Nicole other than like the fact that her trailer was interesting, and I feel like I'm getting double representation since I both write narratively and practice Eastern Orthodox Christianity, but I think what I've seen so far is pretty cool. Anyways, as of writing this, it's 11 p.m. The rest of my family is probably asleep. As of recording, it's 11:15, and I really gotta wake up early tomorrow for church, so I'm gonna leave it here. Trust, my video essay isn't gonna be so rushed, but I just really had to get my ideas out. Anyways, I am September, and hopefully I will see you next time.